stare a hole through. I stared a hole through a motherfucker one time in a courtroom to the point where he had his attorney tell my attorney that I needed to quit looking at him because it unnerved him so badly. But Griff was happy. Anyway, he was happy until the bell rang and he ran toward Malachi Black and ate Malachi Black's boot. And then he wasn't happy anymore. And then, for whatever reason, Malachi Black stands there and looks at him and then slides out of the ring and stands there looking at Brian Pillman. And then we found out what the reason was, because he stood there in the right place for Griff Garrison to recover and hit the ropes and come and hit a dive on him. But Griff almost went completely over Malachi Black's head and almost killed them both. So, boom, I knocked the guy out with a kick. Instead of trying to pin him, I'm going to slide out and stand right in the perfect place for him to hit me with a dive when I don't do anything to his partner and don't pay any attention to what my opponent's doing. And then after that, you know, it was about as bland and awkward a match between a top guy and an underneath guy as I've ever seen. It wasn't smooth, it wasn't exciting, and it wasn't good. And Malachi Black won with a single leg crab where, God damn it, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. You know, when you get a Boston crab, you hook your arms underneath the calves of the guy's legs and lean back, right?
Of course, yeah.
He had a single leg crab, but he didn't have his arm under the leg behind the calf. He had the guy's leg was just bent, and Malachi Black was holding it around the knee. So there was no fulcrum in there as you use the arm to cinch back on the, I don't know. But then he won with the crab, and then knocked out Pillman with a kick. This is just getting drearier and drearier. Malachi Black is getting less over because he does weird things that don't make any sense. Not weird spooky, but weird don't make any sense. And poor Pillman has now been relegated to the sidekick of the job guy that gets knocked out after the match is over with. Your thoughts?
Not really sure what they're doing and where they're going with all this. Pillman Jr. has shown potential in the past. They kind of had a good window to do something with him. His acting is something that leaves a lot to be desired. I don't know. I mean, are they cooling Malachi off right now before they do something again with him? I'm really not sure. Or are they putting him in the tag team division with whoever his mystery friend is?
I don't know. They're cooling him off on purpose, but that's the result they're getting. And one more thing before we get to the main event. Just real briefly, Matt Hardy and Private Party did back and forth interviews with Jungle Boy and Christian Cage and Dino Douche. And the whole joke in these interviews was Jungle Boy's talking about pounding their ass, and they're talking about pounding Jungle Boy's ass. And they're not even smiling or smirking or got the twinkle in their eye when they do it. They're saying it straight. So obviously they're grown adult men, and they know the first thing that's going to cross everybody's mind when they're talking about pounding each other's asses, but they're not even doing it with a twinkle. They're doing it straight. So is that homophobic speech? Trying to make a joke out of an activity that many people find pleasurable? Or is that just their way of just doing comedy that's not funny and juvenile? In which case, why aren't they back in ringside with the previous unfunny juvenile that had the sign that was making mockery of someone else's sexual practice? These are questions I ask myself. You can't have it both ways. You can't be out pounding ass in one segment and then worried about something else in another one. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was stupid. I don't know what their intent was, but obviously no one really cares considering some of the people involved in this. Nobody wants to see Matt Hardy or any of his associates on TV. We've already established that. Everyone knows it, but Tony Khan likes him, so we're going to keep using him until his contract is up. But since no one cares about any of this, just turn Christian on Jungle Boy now and let's stop wasting our time because no one's really cared about this pairing at all. Just do the turn now.
You know what? That would be an elevation for Jungle Boy, because if he could have matches with Christian, he would learn more about how to work without bad habits. He wouldn't be doing all these fucking flips. You'd have a dynamite underdog babyface that would really get over if he had a veteran to lead him.
Don't you think that's where this is heading? That's the impression I'm getting.
Well, I've long past caring about where any of these people are headed.
Fair enough.
Because they're always fucking together. Anyway, the main event of the evening, a 6-man tag with half an hour left in the show. It's a Christmas present. The big entrances, everybody got their big entrances. FTR and MJF against Sting, Darby Allin, and like Mussolini on LSD, CM Punk. I know he's straight edge, but I needed some LSD after the first 90 minutes of this program. A couple of observations. Great sign, MJF stole Christmas. But again, as we've established, they bring signs because they remember the Attitude Era and everybody wanted to be part of the show. FTR's AAA belts look like license plates for a 36 Packard. And I enjoyed, even though obviously we just did a segment here on how I thought face paint was overdone in wrestling 30 years ago, Punk comes out last with the Sting tights and his face painted in solidarity with Sting and Darby Allin, and does the Sting howl instead of it's clobbering time. Straight out of the Dusty Rhodes playbook. If he was in a 6-man with the Road Warriors, he'd wear the spiked shoulder pads and the face paint. If he was in a 6-man with the Rock and Roll Express, he'd wear the bandanas and blah, blah, blah.